My brother blackmailed my parents using a family secret, and he found out because I heard my mother begging him not to tell anyone. I was 25 years old, had stopped by my parents' house to drop off groceries, voices coming from the kitchen. My mom was crying and saying, "Please do not do this to us." Then my older brother said, "Maybe I will keep quiet if you give me the money." It froze by the hallway because I had never heard my brother talk to our parents like that. My brother was 30 and had always been the difficult one. He never kept a job for long, borrowed money constantly, and somehow always stalked his way out of trouble. But despite everything, my parents always bailed him out. They paid his rent, covered his credit card bills, and even helped him after he got arrested for drunk driving twice. It thought they were just overly forgiving parents. I had no idea something much darker was happening. I walked into the kitchen and asked what was going on. My brother immediately smiled and said nothing. Mom is just stressed. My mother would not even look at me. My dad looked exhausted. Then my brother grabbed his car keys and left. He econned the front door closed. I asked my parents what he meant about keeping quiet. My mom started crying again, and my dad said it was none of my business. I kept pushing because something felt seriously wrong. Finally, my dad said, "Ask your brother if you want the truth." He looked angry in a way I had never seen before. I drove straight to my brother's apartment and demanded answers. At first, they laughed and told me to stay out of it. Then he said something that made my stomach drop. He said, "Mom and Dad owe me everything because they ruined my life." I asked what I meant, and he looked at me for a long time before saying, "Fine, you want the truth. Then here it is, you are not their first child." I just stared at him. He explained that before either of us was born, our parents had another son. He died when he was 4 years old after drowning in a lake during a family camping trip. It felt like someone had punched me. We had family photographs everywhere in our house, and I had never seen another child. My brother said our parents erased almost every trace of him because the grief was unbearable. Then he said something even worse. Apparently my brother was the one who was supposed to be watching him that day. He was only 80 years old and wandered away for a few minutes to play with friends. By the time he came back, his little brother was gone. My parents never blamed him. They repeatedly told him it was an accident. But according to my brother, he never forgave himself. Then he told me the family secret he had been using for years. A few months after the drowning, our parents received a larger settlement from the campground because there had been safety violations and broken fencing around the lake. The money eventually helped them buy their house and start my dad's business. My brother always believed the family became financially stable because his little brother died. He said every time he looked at the house, he felt sick because he thought it had been built on his brother's grave. When he turned 18, he discovered documents about the settlement and completely spiraled. He became angry, resentful, and started demanding money from our parents, saying they owed him because he was forced to live with the guilt while they benefited financially. At first, my parents gave him money because they thought I 2Ds his Spain, but it never stopped. Every year, he demanded more, threatening to tell relatives that our parents had profited from their child's death. My brother had been blackmailing them for 12 years. I went home and confronted my parents. My mom broke down completely. She admitted everything. They never told me because they wanted to protect all of us. They also admitted giving my brother money years because they blamed themselves for not getting him therapy after the drowning. Then my dad said something that broke my heart. He looked at an old family photograph and said, "We lost stones on at the lake, and we have been slowly losing another one ever since." A week later, my parents refused to give my brother any more money. He screamed at them, called them terrible parents, and threatened to expose everything. My dad looked him in the eyes and quietly said, "Then tell everyone, because we're done paying for your guilt." 6 months later, my brother finally started the rappy after realizing nobody was going to rescue him anymore. Last month, he invited all of us to dinner. He apologized to our parents for the first time in more than a decade. Then he handed my mom a framed photograph of the little brother he never knew existed and said, "I think we have hidden him long enough." I stared at that picture for a long time because I realized the biggest family secret was never about money or blackmail. It was about grief and how one terrible afternoon had trapped my entire family for nearly 30 years.